In a world where humans and spirits live in harmony, river and mountain spirits flow freely, and love stirs in every corner, there is a place called Kyoto. It's home to many yokai, but among them, one name stands above the rest: Saki. She's a succubus, so beautiful and famous that everyone wants to date her. Loved by all, she's ranked among the top-tier supernatural beings in existence. As a high school student, Saki is constantly surrounded by classmates trying every possible way to impress her. One of them, Suzuki, brings her a rare necklace he bought by selling his entire manga and game collection. Saki looks around and notices gifts pouring in from all sides. After examining Suzuki's necklace with a detailed glance and appreciating the gesture, she immediately remarks that she actually prefers a pink diamond necklace. Suzuki awkwardly admits he saw that one but couldn't afford it, as it costs 80,000 yen. Hearing this, Saki playfully declares in a teasing voice that whoever brings her the pink diamond necklace will earn the honor of being her boyfriend. One brave soul bolts out so fast that his shoes remain behind, like some tragic Cinderella of desperation. Then she adds that she wants it specifically from Suzuki. This sparks chaos as the boys in the classroom dash outside, all determined to sell whatever they have to buy the pink diamond. Within moments, the class clears out, leaving behind a few remaining students. Some of them judge Saki's behavior as nasty, while others are captivated by her charm and beauty, becoming even bigger fans of her appearance. Saki sits at her desk, feeling thrilled. She reflects proudly, convinced that every man must kneel before her. She imagines her future coronation as the Queen of Flirtland, with boys forming a line just to breathe in the same air she exhales. She laughs with a devilish glee, but her thoughts shift when she catches sight of her classmate, Ashia, her secret crush. As he walks into class and greets everyone with a cold and intimidating look, the others feel uneasy. Yet Saki's reaction is the opposite. Internally, she warmly welcomes him and thinks about how he seems like a gloomy, nerdy, and awkward guy. Still, the fact that he has never once looked directly at her since they started sitting together only deepens her fascination. Convinced that Ashia must think about her too, Saki becomes determined to melt this tough guy's heart. She plans to show him who the real boss is. After running a few schemes in her head, she finally leans toward him with a sweet and naughty tone. She mentions that she's a succubus and that sometimes she can't control herself, a fact he should be well aware of. Somewhere in her mind, a tiny fanfare plays, because surely this line will finally crack his icy heart, or at least melt a pinky toe. But Ashia only responds with his usual cold expression. He says he's glad she shared something about herself and thanks her briefly before returning to his UGT without further interest. Saki's jaw drops in shock. She cannot believe Ashia just ignored her so casually and gave more attention to his tea. Saki stares at the teacup like it just stole her man and brewed itself with smug superiority. She concludes he must be an idiot. Just then, Inugami walks in and approaches Ashia shyly, thanking him for the favor he did for her yesterday. This surprises Saki, who begins to wonder about the relationship between Ashia and Inugami. She gets suspicious. Her brain goes into emergency mode, launching an imaginary investigation titled Inugami, Friend or Flirty Fiend. Ashia tells Inugami that she can call him anytime she needs help. Saki, now deeply lost in thought, decides she won't give Ashia any more attention today and will instead focus on the other boys, especially since he never gives her any response anyway. Deep inside, though, she feels sad, but she tells herself she doesn't need her crush anymore. Suddenly, Ashia leans in and whispers into her ear, asking if she can meet him before she leaves. This sends a wave of electricity through her. She assumes he must have a hidden motive and immediately imagines various possibilities. In her head, she's already planned their wedding, their first fight, and the dramatic rooftop breakup that would make national headlines. Then he finishes his sentence, saying he wants her to take him to the art room. Her mind bursts with assumptions. She thinks she always knew he liked her. As she gets lost in her own fantasies, Ashia calls her again and asks if she's okay. Saki, still deep in her own daydreams, decides she has figured out Ashia's true intentions. But as his opponent, she vows to prove she is the superior one. With her plan forming, she prepares to show Ashia exactly who he's dealing with. After some time passes, Saki finally takes Ashia to the art room. As they enter, he finds the space quite narrow, while Saki's mind begins to swirl with strange ideas. Ashia casually asks her if she doesn't have club activities today, and she responds that it's her day off, which is why she decided to come with him. As she notices Ashia walking closer, she curiously asks if he knows how to draw. When he says yes, she immediately, in her usual naughty tone, says she wants him to make a naked drawing of her. Ashia pauses for a moment, visibly startled by the bizarre request. Meanwhile, Saki starts posing in weird ways and asks which pose he likes most. With a teasing attitude, she says she feels embarrassed doing this here, otherwise she knows many more poses. In her mind, she thinks this is the perfect opportunity to break through Ashia's cold behavior. At one point, she strikes a pose so ridiculous, it could be titled Confused Swan Falling Off a Shelf. However, Ashia simply tells her that he didn't come here for that and apologizes, rejecting the idea. Saki is left shocked, as everything is going against her plans. Trying to regain control, she emotionally manipulates him, saying he shouldn't be shy, and questions why he came here at all if not for this. As she continues her persuasive attempt, Ashia suddenly warns her that the thing he came for is already here. Confused, Saki doesn't understand, until she sees an evil spirit emerge behind her to attack. Terrified, she instinctively clings to Ashia. Without hesitation, Ashia pulls out his spirit card and uses magic to freeze the evil spirit in place. Saki, still in shock, watches in horror as Ashia protects her. She suddenly yells, asking what that thing is. Ashia calmly introduces himself as a psychic. Saki, annoyed, clarifies that she's asking about the creature that just attacked. He explains that it's an evil spirit formed from an ink painting, and that it had also attacked Inugami recently. His main goal now is to join the ink club to learn more about ink-based spirits. Hearing all this, Saki is stunned. As the spirit attacks again, Ashia quickly chants a spell with his perish power and completely destroys it. When he utters the final spell, Metsu, Saki realizes he has annihilated the spirit completely. After everything settles down, Ashia notices he's still holding on to Saki and immediately apologizes before letting go. Saki, slightly flustered, tells him he's very strong. Just as that thought crosses her mind, her earlier fantasies return and she moves closer, pressing herself against his body. She believes she's the strongest succubus and is confident she can make Ashia fall for her. She tries her best to seduce him again. But Ashia gently pushes her back and says he doesn't fall for someone just because of their beauty. Saki's internal alarm system crashes. He then pats her head lightly and thanks her before walking away. Saki stands frozen, stunned that all her plans have failed. Instead of Ashia falling for her, she finds herself falling for him. In her imagination, she replays the scenario the way she wanted it to happen. Ashia asking her how she wants to be drawn, her replying that it should be a full-body drawing, him being awestruck and falling in love, showering her with compliments. In her mental version, Ashia even cries a little while sketching, overwhelmed by her flawless cheekbones. But none of that happened. Alone in the art room, she yells in frustration, unable to believe that even as the strongest succubus, she was ignored. She cries out of disappointment, but then suddenly recalls Ashia's earlier words. It hits her. Ashia might never fall in love with her, and that realization excites her. Taking it as a challenge, Saki now decides she will make Ashia fall for her with her ultimate succubus love. She steps out of the room in full top-mode confidence, determined to try every day until she wins him over. But as soon as she steps outside, she sees Ashia already with Inugami, who is sweetly asking him to come with her. This sight gives Saki another shock. She cannot understand what Inugami is doing here. She starts observing things around her. Suddenly, it becomes clear. Ashia is extremely popular. Girls are trying to sit in his seat and kissing it. Some are leaving love letters at his house. Others are using magic tricks to win him over. It feels like a battle has begun to claim the strongest boy. Amid all this chaos, Saki thinks she needs to make a clever move now, one that will finally make Ashia fall for her. In Kyoto City, a place where most humans and yokai live together, Saki, a high-class succubus, understands that her spells work on almost every man except one. That one exception is Ashia, a boy who recently transferred into her high school. Despite this immunity, she firmly believes that she will eventually win him over with her charm. But for now, things aren't going her way, especially since Ashia is currently standing beside Inugami, and all Saki can do is watch. She stares, puzzled and slightly frustrated, thinking that she must make Ashia fall in love with her before another girl takes him away. For that, she needs a clever move. Hiding quietly behind them, she listens closely to Ashia and Inugami's conversation. She whispers to herself, wondering what Ashia is about to do. Deep down, she wishes he would turn Inugami down and mention her name instead. Saki leans closer, holding her breath like she's defusing a bomb. except the bomb is emotional damage, and it's about to go off. She knows that Inugami is cute, but as she admires her own well-shaped figure, she assures herself that she won't let Ashia go to someone else so easily. Then she hears Ashia say something surprising. He tells Inugami that he would be happy to go out with her. Both Inugami and Saki are shocked by this. Saki's jaw drops so hard it almost dislocates. Was this betrayal? Treason? Or just a high school emotional war crimes? Ashia explains that he'll think about it more and give a proper answer later. After he walks away, Saki begins to think harder. There's no way she's letting someone else take Ashia so easily. She knows Inugami is in the same class as her, and she doesn't want her to do anything bold. Without hesitation, Saki walks straight to Inugami and calls her over. She leans in and whispers a question, asking if Inugami likes Ashia. Inugami looks startled, realizing that Saki overheard everything. Saki tells her that she's brave, but Inugami then raises her voice and casually mentions that she and Ashia were just together in the art room. Hearing this, Saki is even more surprised. Inugami then asks if Saki wasn't scared to be alone with him. She adds that the last time Ashia visited her haunted house, it was quite terrifying for her. Now Saki is truly stunned. Ashia has even been to Inugami's house. Inugami, blushing, adds that although Ashia doesn't talk much, he's very cool. Saki quickly figures out that Inugami is easy to handle. She steps closer to her and gently begins patting her face and head. Inugami clearly enjoys this attention, her tail wagging excitedly like a puppy. Being a dog-like yokai, Inugami is thrilled by the affectionate gesture. She wags her tail like she just won the lottery, except the prize is head pats and mild emotional manipulation. Saki asks if Inugami falls in love easily. Inugami shakes her head, saying she only likes Ashia. Saki smiles and tells her she wishes her the best, to which Inugami responds with a cheerful thank you. Her smile is the kind that says good luck, but her inner voice is already Googling how to sabotage dog-girl love rival discreetly. As Saki walks away, her thoughts shift. She won't let Inugami make a move on Ashia so easily. She plans to capture his heart first through her own advances. The next day at school, it's time for physical education class. All eyes turn to Saki, who stands out in her tight gym clothes, drawing admiration from everyone. The teacher announces that the class must run 5 laps around the school grounds, but Saki is too distracted, thinking only about Ashia. She turns and notices that Ashia is already running. She decides that she'll use her attractive body to win his attention. As she starts running, her body movements cause all the boys in class to lose focus and melt in awe. Several of them get so distracted that they fall into a nearby water-filled pit. Meanwhile, Saki makes her way closer to Ashia, determined to catch his attention. She notices Ashia looking directly at her, and her heart skips a beat. Surely she thinks he's finally noticing her. Just then, Ashia leans in and whispers that he needs to talk to her privately. Saki's curiosity spikes, as her brain short-circuits, thinking what could be these private talk plus eye contact. Ashia then reveals that he needs her help. He wants to reject Inugami's proposal but doesn't know how to do it. Saki is stunned, wondering why he would come to her of all people. She didn't expect to be the love rejection coach today. Ashia explains that he was raised in the mountains and at this moment he is relying on her. Hearing this gives Saki a flicker of hope. She tells herself she must seize this opportunity. Ashia then adds that the reason he's sharing this with her is because he assumed that someone like her, a seductive Inma, will know more about love affairs. Saki gasps like he just called a gourmet chef a microwave dinner. She immediately corrects him, saying she's a succubus, not a mere Inma. While they are still running, Saki informs the teacher that Ashia isn't feeling well and that she's taking him to the infirmary. Hearing this, Inugami becomes instantly worried. They head toward the hills behind the school. Ashia finally asks where exactly Saki has brought him under the excuse of going to the infirmary. She calmly explains that she wanted a place where it could just be the two of them. She believes that if he wants to reject Inugami, he needs practice, and she offers to be his practice partner by confessing to him. Ashia turns toward her, surprised, and silently questions if she's really going to do this. Saki reassures herself aloud that this is only for practice and teasingly asks if he's feeling nervous. Deep inside, she feels like she has him exactly where she wants him now. She begins the roleplay by recalling the day he saved her from the evil spirit and the moment he transferred to their class. She pretends to finally gather the courage and tells him she's been wanting to say something since then, that she loves him. Saki pours on the drama like a soap opera lead. If this were televised, she'd already be up for a daytime television chief guest. He freezes in response, his face turning awkward and stunned. Saki, seeing his silence, presses further, wondering why he isn't reacting. But then Ashia quietly tells her to turn around. Saki spins around only to see Inugami standing there, completely shocked. The sudden presence catches her off guard as she blurts out a scream and asks what Inugami is doing here. Her spinning around is like she's in a horror movie, except the jump scare is a love rival with excellent tracking skills. Inugami explains that she followed Ashia's scent all the way here after the teacher asked her to check why the two of them hadn't returned yet. She ends up hearing everything, Saki's fake confession included. Embarrassed but quick on her feet, Saki tries to explain that they were just practicing how to reject someone. This only leaves Inugami more stunned as she realizes she's about to be rejected. Suddenly, Ashia tells them both to quiet down and urges them to look behind. As they turn, they see a group of evil spirits preparing to attack. Saki instantly recognizes them as the same kind of cursed spirits from the art room and doesn't want to become their target again. She quickly hides behind Inugami, who, in true puppy-like nature, begins to bark defensively. Just then, Ashia steps forward. He leaps over Saki and throws a set of protective spirit cards toward the approaching threat. The spirits collapse in a single strike, leaving both girls astonished by the precision and speed of his attack. His throwing of holy cards is like he's playing Pokemon, but the stakes are paranormal and very sweaty. Saki, baffled, asks if Ashia is really human. He simply says he grew up in the mountains. When she asks for more details, he dodges and instead explains that these aren't mere spirits. They're curses. She questions who could be behind them, but the logic escapes her. He tells her that whenever he spends time with people, something strange always happens. He then turns with a cold, serious look and says it's starting to bother him. With that, he chants a parish spell and destroys the remaining curse. Once it's over, he turns to Inugami and apologizes. He tells her that he can't accept her confession. Inugami, now heartbroken, quietly asks if there's someone else. He replies that there isn't, causing Saki, who overhears this, to be left speechless. Saki walks off like a drama queen who just got booted off her own reality show. Ashia explains further that because of family reasons he has no choice in the matter. Inugami accepts this and asks for one last favor. She suddenly throws herself at him and hugs him tightly. Saki watches the scene unfold, her brain practically short-circuiting from rage and confusion. As Inugami embraces him, she inhales his scent, and feeling his warmth, blushes. Saki's eyes narrow when she notices a visible curve in Inugami's tail. It's a mating sign. After the hug, Inugami cheerfully says she'll always remember this moment and suggests they return to school. Saki stands there, seething, watching them. Her thoughts spiral. Ashia belongs to her, and she'll try every possible method to win him. She walks up to him and bluntly asks what he thought about her earlier confession. She makes it clear she wants him to consider her as a potential girlfriend. After all, as a succubus, she's not bound by the same family rules. Ashia, however, gives her a dry response, saying it was all just practice, nothing real. He adds that anyone could turn her down after such a dramatic confession. Hearing this, Saki becomes even more frustrated and heartbroken. As she walks away, she silently vows that one day she'll make him fall in love with her. Meanwhile, Ashia reflects on what just happened and thinks to himself that he needs to find the curse user soon, because whoever it is seems to be actively targeting him. The class continues with its usual routine. Most of the boys remain hopelessly captivated by Saki, while she herself stays focused on Ashia. Something new, however, is brewing. Saki has now crafted a plan to make Ashia fall for her. It's been more than 2 weeks since they started sitting together in class, and she feels that by now, he should have been chasing after her. But to her dismay, that hasn't happened. She begins to suspect Ashia might be blind, emotionally constipated, or, worse, immune to premium beauty. Saki, in a playful tone, leans toward him and asks if he has any plans after class. He casually replies that he has club activities, which makes her raise an eyebrow in curiosity. She says she wants to know about his other plans too. Ashia, slightly puzzled, asks her in return if she wants to go somewhere with him. But before anything else can happen, class ends and he walks off for his club work. She mentally notes, club activities is now officially the worst phrase in the Japanese language. In the club room, the other members are engaged in casual chatter. Unbeknownst to them, Saki secretly follows Ashia, curiosity gnawing at her. She can't understand what could be more important to him than her. As she trails him, she comes across a locked door with curtains drawn tightly over it. What surprises her most is the sound of a woman's voice inside, speaking to Ashia. In her head, a courtroom drama begins. She's the prosecutor, the judge, and also the betrayed lover. Her mind immediately races with suspicious thoughts. Unable to resist the temptation, she jumps and flies around the building, landing silently near a window with a perfect view inside. Peeking in, she sees Ashia calmly sharpening a pencil with a blade. Another girl stands nearby, setting up a painting board and calling out to someone off-screen, asking if they're ready. Everything looks normal until Saki notices something that leaves her stunned. There's a girl standing there in a swimsuit. Her jaw drops at the sight. She begins wondering what possible reason that girl could have for wearing something like that here. If shock could kill, she'd be a cautionary tale in health textbooks. Her eyes shift upward, and only then does she feel a little relieved. Ashia is simply sketching her, not engaging in anything questionable. The next day in class, while sitting beside Ashia, Saki can't stop thinking about why he hasn't drawn her body yet. She figures if her curves can't inspire art, then the Renaissance was a lie. She begins plotting her next move. Just then, the teacher's voice cuts through her thoughts, explaining how the price of a product depends on its demand and supply. To her surprise, the formula sparks inspiration. After class, Saki accompanies Ashia to the art room and casually inquires about the drawings he's done. He shows her the one he made the previous day. As she takes notes, she tells him about a famous painter she knows who could teach him more. This excites Ashia. It's a great opportunity to learn the basics. Before he can say much, she stands before him in a swimsuit, suggesting he try sketching her instead. With the help of her succubus powers, she's sure her legs and curves will win him over and fulfill his emotional needs. But to her shock, Ashia immediately refuses. He says drawing her in a swimsuit isn't appropriate and makes him uncomfortable. Saki is left speechless. She was certain the supply and demand trick would work. She approaches him again, saying he's too serious and needs to learn how to have some fun. While she's still trying to persuade him, a sudden sound interrupts them. The art room door creaks open, and the voices of a few schoolgirls float in. They wonder if Ashia is already inside. Saki's mind is screaming that this is how scandals are born. Panic sets in for Saki. If the girls enter now, she'll be caught. As the girls step into the room and notice the lights are already on, suspicion grows. Saki quickly thinks of using her succubus charm beam to avoid detection. But before she can act, she notices something strange. The girls can't see anything. That's when she realizes he has activated an invisible blindfold barrier to hide them both. She's impressed, but also a little insulted that her swimsuit reveal now has a 0% audience rating. Ashia whispers that they need to quietly sneak out, but they pause when the girls start talking about his kindness. Then, to Saki's horror, the girls begin undressing, now standing in their undergarments. She wonders if this school skipped the basic privacy part of education. One of them even speculates that Ashia must have a girlfriend. As she walks around, she suddenly bumps into the invisible barrier and becomes suspicious. The other girls gather, trying to touch the invisible wall, puzzled by the presence of something unseen. Saki stands frozen in disbelief. Not only is she at risk of being exposed, but these girls are in their undergarments in the art room. Who does that? Determined not to let Ashia's first time be with anyone else, she grabs his face, turning it toward hers, and tells him to look only at her. Before anything else happens, the atmosphere shifts. The air grows heady, signaling the arrival of something ominous. Suddenly, the cursed creatures from the forest appear outside the window. Ashia quickly deactivates the blindfold barrier and pulls out his spirit card. He lifts Saki into the air, thinking this situation is easier to handle than whatever was just happening a moment ago. Ashia begins chanting spells. His magic surges forward, breaking the curse on the Russian creatures. Just in time, he catches Saki midair before she falls. Then he unleashes his ultimate technique, the 7-star light fox spell. Its power overwhelms the room, leaving the girls speechless and terrified. Afterwards, Ashia apologizes to Saki for throwing her upward so suddenly and says it was necessary. She's too flustered to admit she kind of liked the bridal-style toss, minus the surprise altitude. He gives her a warm look, and the remaining girls gape at the two of them. Saki begins to blush, flustered when the girls ask why she's wearing a swimsuit, and she has no proper answer. Her brain considers 3 options: lie, run, or fake a medical condition. None seem classy. The next day, Ashia and Saki visit a bamboo forest for an assignment. There, Ashia brings up the topic, asking why she told the girls she was modeling in the art room. Embarrassed, Saki replies that everyone seemed happy with that answer, and she knew she had caused the situation anyway. She adds that if her actions help things settle down, she's willing to do them. Deep down, all she wants is love, from anyone, regardless of gender. Still, her true plan is to get more time to show Ashia more of herself. After hearing all this, Ashia says he's still in the club only because of her. It brings him joy he wouldn't have found otherwise. That confession makes Saki blush again. Ashia adds that once he finds the curse user, he'll join the club's other activities too. Just then, the sound of a door opening behind them breaks their conversation. A woman steps out and surprises them both by inviting them to join the Ceremony Tea Club. They exchange surprised glances, uncertain what this new twist might bring. The moment they hear the name Ceremony Tea Club, both Ashia and Saki are a little surprised, wondering what kind of club this might be. Saki briefly imagines a room full of haunted teapots. The woman standing nearby confirms that they heard correctly and then looks at Ashia, saying she already knows him. Saki's brain nearly short-circuits at this. Yet another woman from Ashia's past appears out of nowhere. She wonders how many more women are going to keep popping up in his life. She half expects a parade of ex-girlfriends to start marching in with banners that say, "Ashia once helped me too." She quickly asks Ashia if he knows this beautiful lady. Ashia calmly replies that he has known her since class 1, and her name is Ushino Koku. Ushino Koku, with a welcoming tone, invites them inside for tea and says, "Welcome home, Ashia." Hearing this, Saki feels a strange stir of curiosity, wondering what that phrase is supposed to mean. As Ushino Koku prepares the tea, she explains that she is still a beginner and offers them some snacks. Saki, without hesitation, grabs the snacks with the reflexes of someone raised on impulse purchases and anime betrayals. Ashia, a bit annoyed, tells her it's bad manners to start eating without saying pardon, but Saki jokingly replies that she's already eaten too much to stop now. Seems like she wants to declare that snack diplomacy is more important than table manners in moments of emotional warfare. Curious about Ushino Koku's words earlier, Saki decides to dig a little deeper and asks how the two know each other. Ushino Koku shares that Ashia once helped her carry her belongings when she was feeling down, and he ended up staying at her place for 4 days, even helping to set up her room. Saki can't decide what's worse, Ushino Koku's soft voice or her horror movie-level flashbacks. Ushino Koku then says, in a playfully teasing tone, that this very room is the one where she and Ashia spent time together. She becomes so lost in the memory that she lets the tea overflow. Saki, watching this, grows increasingly tense and agitated. Ashia reminds Ushino Koku that the tea is spilling, but the real issue is with Saki, who clearly doesn't want anyone else, especially Ushino Koku, taking her place in Ashia's life. Ushino Koku hands over the tea to Ashia, who politely says pardon before accepting it and begins to drink. As he sips, Ushino Koku watches him with longing eyes, clearly feeling something deep. He compliments the tea, calling it wonderful and full of flavor, and says Ushino Koku clearly has a strong sense for taste. Ushino Koku is pleased and, as a reward, asks Ashia for a favor. She suddenly requests that Ashia pat her, which shocks both Ashia and Saki. Saki wonders if this is still a tea club or if she accidentally walked into a fever dream club, but the real twist comes when Ashia agrees to do it. Saki sits in stunned silence, afraid she might lose him. As soon as Ashia reaches forward to pat her, Ushino Koku grabs his hand and clarifies that she doesn't want a head pat, she wants him to pat her artery. Saki mentally adds arterial affection to her growing list of things she's not prepared to compete with. This surprises Ashia, but Saki's reaction is even more extreme. Ushino Koku says that since the artery leads directly to the heart, it's like asking him to pat her heart. Saki starts to feel that something is seriously wrong and quickly thinks of a way to interrupt. She calls out to Ashia, saying it's almost school closing time and they need to leave immediately. Ashia stops and says he'll visit again some other time. When Ushino Koku asks when, Ashia replies that he will come back next Friday. Ushino Koku suspects he has joined another club too, but Ashia assures her that as long as he is with her, everything will be fine. As they leave, Saki asks Ushino Koku to teach her cleaning, to which Ushino Koku responds positively and sends them off with a friendly goodbye. As they walk away, Saki, instead of walking, begins flying lightly as she levitates like a majestic warning sign that reads, "Beware suspicious tea ladies," and then tells Ashia that Yoshino Koku is odd, and it would be better for him to stay away from her because she has a bad feeling about her. Meanwhile, Yoshino Koku is deep in thought about Ashia. She feels that he easily escaped all her curses and seems to be someone who divides his focus among many people. She plays around with the idea of pairing her name with his, thinking it sounds perfect. She tries chanting Ushiashi under her breath like a cursed shipping label. Friday comes again, and Ashia returns to Yoshino Koku's home, where she welcomes him inside. Unbeknownst to them, Saki is flying above, spying on them. She can't believe Ashia dared to come here even after she warned him not to. She regrets not realizing earlier how much Ashia loves tea. She could have just taken him to a tea shop instead. She wonders if he likes tea more than women, and considers disguising herself as a teapot next time. Seeing the two happy together, Saki falls into a depressed state, feeling like she's tried everything but still failed to win Ashia's love. She worries about what the two are doing alone in that room, and convinces herself something inappropriate must be happening. To comfort herself, she reminds herself that Yoshino Koku will definitely be rejected because no one has a better body than her. Driven by curiosity, Saki decides to follow Yoshino Koku. She watches as Yoshino Koku begins to undress, and Saki is shocked beyond belief. Yoshino Koku puts on a dark-colored outfit, and Saki can't comprehend what's happening. Her eyes fall on a collection of countless dolls in the room. Saki tells herself there's no way Yoshino Koku can win, unless Ashia suddenly develops a thing for cursed Barbie collectors. Yoshino Koku stands among them, repeating Ashia's name and saying she will punish him for trying to cheat her. She won't let him be with any other girl. Yoshino Koku then begins chanting spells, using a hammer and awakening the same cursed spirits that once haunted Ashia and Saki. Watching this unfold, Saki is stunned, drenched in fear and sweat. She immediately flies back to Ashia to warn him that her suspicion was right. Yoshino Koku is the curse user. Just then, Yoshino Koku sneaks up from behind and grabs Saki, asking if she could please leave her and Ashia alone. Even while terrified, Saki mentally notes that being attacked by a jealous curse user is not how she imagined losing a love triangle. Terrified, Saki hides behind Ashia. Yoshino Koku steps forward in an aggressive manner and reveals that she is behind all the past incidents. Saki urges Ashia to use his magic, and he calmly assures her that he will fix everything and tells her to just sit back. Now taking things more seriously, Ashia begins to focus. Yoshino Koku, even while preparing for battle, finds his calmness attractive. Saki, in full panic, shouts out, wondering if this is what they usually practice in the ceremony tea club. She briefly considers filing an official complaint to the school about misleading club descriptions. As tension builds, Ashia awakens his spiritual powers. Light fills the room, and even the teapot starts whistling. Saki clings to Ashia in panic, sensing that a major spell is about to be unleashed. Ashia draws a circle around him and begins to recite his magical words. With his energy, he activates the mysterious liberation, creating an overwhelmingly tense atmosphere throughout the room. He creates a powerful barrier around them, one that remains unaffected by Yoshino Koku's curse. The protective spells shield both him and Saki. While Saki notices dark, monstrous creatures approaching them, fear immediately grips her, but Ashia stays calm, seated in the center, trusting completely in the strength of his spells. She briefly regrets skipping breakfast. Fighting curses on an empty stomach should be illegal. As the creatures attack and attempt to cross the barrier, they are instantly repelled and collapse. Yoshino Koku watches in shock. This wasn't what she expected. She finds it impossible to believe. But Ashia calmly explains that he has used a special QB spell, one that differs from the ordinary version because it involves his physical body as part of the deity's force. Saki's brain glitches slightly at the phrase, part of the deity's force. She thought that was just a poetic way of saying someone had abs. He adds that he has intentionally made the barrier visible so that Yoshino Koku can realize that her attacks are completely useless against him. Saki nods along but internally wonders if there's a spell that makes guys immune to flirting too. He continues, revealing that Yoshino Koku summoned the creatures using her spirit energy, which made them undetectable until they manifested. Now that they're visible, he tells Yoshino Koku she should stop what she's doing, because even if she summons thousands more, they still won't be able to harm him. Hearing this, Yoshino Koku breaks down emotionally and falls to the ground, murmuring a single truth: she likes Ashia. Saki, meanwhile, finds the atmosphere increasingly uncomfortable and disturbing. As she clenches her fists, not out of jealousy, but because she forgot this club doesn't offer refunds. Ashia decides to handle the situation gently. He approaches Bashino Koku and begins patting the area over her artery, one he knows precisely. Saki watches, completely mortified, as Ashia performs what looks like the world's most awkward pressure point romance therapy. Bashino Koku nearly shouts at his touch. He tells her not to move as he continues patting, and she appears to enjoy it immensely. Ashia, however, doesn't understand what she finds enjoyable in this situation. Bashino Koku, lost in the moment, whispers her thanks. Saki turns away dramatically, whispering to herself that no tea is worth this level of second-hand embarrassment. Saki finds the scene bizarre and unpleasant. She doesn't want to witness any more of it. Ashia then asks Bashino Koku if she'll stop the curse if he asks her to. Bashino Koku, still overwhelmed, agrees to do whatever he says. He stops patting her and notices her condition has become strange in days. Before leaving, he tells Bashino Koku that the next time she sees him, he wants her to teach him how to serve tea. Then, leaning in close to her ear, he warns her that if she does anything inappropriate again, he will not hesitate to punish her. With that, Ashia and Saki leave her house. Bashino Koku lies on the ground, whispering to herself that the love of her life is a sadist with glasses. Then, loudly, she shouts into the air that she loves Ashia. Bashino Koku swoons so hard that even her cursed dolls blush in the background. On their way back, Saki silently reflects on the situation. Bashino Koku's problem is resolved, but she wonders why she now feels left out. She feels like she ordered a romance and got a supernatural group therapy session instead. Ashia explains that he had to use his spells precisely in time to break the curse, otherwise, any of them could have been affected by it. Saki teasingly suggests she might send a curse Ashia's way someday. She quickly says it's just a joke, then in a flirtatious tone, adds that even if she did try to curse him, she knows she would lose. She imagines casting a love curse and somehow ending up with a cursed cat boyfriend instead. She asks if Ashia would want to see what that looks like, expecting a playful or clever answer in return. Ashia simply says that even if a curse were to hit Saki, she wouldn't change at all. It's supposed to be sweet, but to Saki it sounds suspiciously like hearing you're already cursed. Saki immediately feels her plan fall apart, but then Ashia tells her that he once said the same thing to Inugami. But now he wants Saki to know that she is a precious friend, and he won't let anything happen to her. Saki pauses for a moment, surprised by his words. He just promised to protect her. Waving her bag in frustration, she wonders what any of this even means. She thinks Ashia is a tough guy who still refuses to lower his guard, even after everything. She's also confused because he behaves differently around other girls. But it doesn't matter how many women come into Ashia's life. Saki believes she's the only one who's truly cute and attractive. She's sure she'll be the first to truly catch his eye. Saki stands at the front of the classroom, informing everyone that their class is participating in an upcoming competition, and that they must start deciding pairs today. When a curious classmate asks what kind of competition it is, she explains that it's a mixed-gender relay event. The girls will run 100 meters, and then the boys will carry them princess style for another 200 meters. A few students blink, wondering if they've accidentally signed up for a fairy tale fitness test. As strange as it sounds, the school has officially approved the event. Someone reveals that this decision was finalized yesterday, and today Saki's purpose is to let everyone select their partners, as the deadline ends by the end of the day. Ashia sits quietly at his desk, listening as Saki makes the announcement. As soon as the rules are shared, many of Saki's devoted classmates begin volunteering to pair with her, creating a commotion in the classroom. She enjoys the attention, fully aware that everyone wants to partner with her. Yet amidst the excitement, she finds herself wondering why Ashia isn't showing any interest. Saki mentally throws a shoe at him across the classroom. Instead of rushing to her, he is calmly talking to another classmate, asking for more details about the competition. Saki watches him, feeling an unexpected sting of jealousy. She doesn't want Ashia participating with anyone else. Suddenly, she makes a bold declaration to the class. She's opting out of the event and would rather participate as a cheerleader instead. The boys who had hoped to pair with her are visibly disappointed. Saki insists she'll give her best as a cheerleader and begins imagining herself enthusiastically cheering on the sidelines. Meanwhile, the rest of the boys mourn her decision, completely unaware that her real motive is to lure Ashia into choosing her. This was chess, not dodgeball. She just sacrificed the queen to bait the king. Just then, an unexpected voice echoes through the classroom, offering to participate if no one else will. The students turn and Saki freezes in disbelief. It's Ushino Koku. Somehow she has appeared out of nowhere, specifically for Ashia. Saki's brain short-circuits. She's convinced this girl has a built-in radar for him, and she reminds her that she's not even from their class, and therefore shouldn't be eligible to participate. She can't believe how quickly Ushino Koku shows up just when other pairs are being wiped out. And of course, it's all for Ashia. Ushino Koku steps closer to him, boldly declaring that her body is heady, but she can slim down by only drinking tea. Her shameless statement stuns the class, including Saki. Ashia, holding his spirit card, narrows his eyes and questions whether she has used another curse. She cheerfully admits it. In response, he uses his magic to suspend her from the ceiling, telling her that she needs fresh air, preferably from above. Ushino Koku humming a love song to herself. Watching this, Saki imagines herself in the same situation and shudders at the idea of being punished the same way if she ever tries to form a pair with Ashia. Meanwhile, the other girls in class start pleading with Ashia to choose them. When Saki notices that even Inugami expresses interest in pairing with him, she quickly grabs her and starts persuading her to go for it. She claims she wants to see how Ashia reacts this time. She tells Inugami that she has to volunteer herself and encourages her despite the girl's hesitation. Inugami covers her mouth and whispers nervously, wondering if Ashia would even agree. She then hugs Saki tightly in fear, a sight that makes the rest of the class cheer joyfully. Suddenly, Saki recalls that Ashia had already rejected Inugami once, and she mentally scolds herself for forgetting something so important. This convinces her even more that Ashia will definitely choose her now, but to her shock, Ashia turns to Inugami with a smile and tells her that if she's okay with it, the two of them can participate together. Saki's face puffs up with frustration the moment she sees this. Her jealousy rises once again, silently screaming that this was not how things were supposed to go. The next day, everyone gathers on the school field to practice for the event. Each group is busy discussing strategies, figuring out who will do what and how to cover the distance most efficiently. Amidst the buzz of activity, Saki taps a boy gently on the shoulder and with a sweet smile, thanks him for all his hard work. The boy's face lights up with joy, completely overwhelmed by the fact that Saki just touched him. He nearly loses his mind in happiness. He's already planning the wedding. Her name is misspelled on the invitation, but his heart's in the right place. Saki, on the other hand, silently observes his reaction and thinks to herself how easily she can win anyone's heart. It's not pride, it's just basic math at this point, as these types of men don't interest her. Her true goal remains the same, Ashia. No matter how many hearts she wins, none of it holds meaning if Ashia doesn't notice. Meanwhile, Ashia stands on the side, deeply focused on his strategy, mentally mapping out how he's going to reach the goal point. Saki's tempted to throw a pebble at him just to see if he's actually real or a wax statue built for focus. Saki leaves the field and walks over to the cheer squad, where the other girls eagerly call her over to begin practice. She stands for a while, quietly watching them rehearse. As she watches, she mentions aloud that she's just waiting to see Kyun Han's dance performance. Rumor has it the last time Han danced, the school Wi-Fi stopped working for 3 days. Once the cheer practice ends, Saki casually walks over to Ashia and asks if he's thinking about the princess relay. He confirms with a simple yes. Teasingly, Saki says that Inugami would definitely look adorable in a bridal dress. Ashia responds with a serious tone, saying he's actually worried about his own strength lately. Saki just thinks to resist the urge to flex her biceps, saying, "Well, I'm emotionally strong." Saki shifts her tone slightly and comments on how wonderful the city is, where humans and yokai live together in harmony. While she speaks, she begins fixing her hair with delicate movements, and Ashia finds himself wondering what exactly she's trying to say. Then Saki asks him directly if he'd like to see her in a wedding dress. A nearby squirrel faints. The tension is that thick. Ashia instantly covers his mouth, worried that his expression might have betrayed his thoughts. He then answers honestly, saying that Saki is so beautiful she would look the best in a wedding dress. Saki freezes, clearly surprised by his compliment. She experiences a full emotional reboot. If her heart had Wi-Fi, it just disconnected. But she quickly regains her composure and reminds him not to say such things in front of Inugami. Ashia nods and thanks her for the warning. Just then, the cheer club leader calls out to Saki, asking her to join the dance practice. As she turns to go, she glances back at Ashia and tells him that if he really wants to see her in a wedding dress, he'll have to reach her heart first. Ashia stares at her blankly, not understanding what she means, and simply walks off. Saki takes a few steps forward but then stops. Her cheeks flush red as she thinks about what she just said, wondering what Ashia might be thinking about her now. Flustered, she places a hand on her head, mumbling to herself that this boy is seriously throwing her off. He's not even trying, and she's already starring in her own rom-com with a tragic twist. At that moment, the cheer club calls for her again, and she hurries off, still lost in her thoughts. The next day, the sports event finally begins. Everyone is getting ready for their respective competitions. The boys are focused on their races while the girls are equally busy with their own activities. The school soon announces a short break, asking everyone to rest and collect their lunches. Saki, exhausted from cheering for so long, decides she also needs a break. Sweat clings to her skin, and her tired state surprises the nearby boys who aren't used to seeing her this way. An announcement follows, revealing that the first event after the break will be the princess relay. As soon as she hears this, Saki notices Ashia talking to Inugami, asking her gently if she's feeling nervous. He even offers her tea with a calm expression. Saki nearly spills the tea she's not even holding. Watching this, something stirs in Saki's chest. She can't take it anymore. She turns and rushes toward the rest area. Another girl silently follows her. Inside, Saki undresses and presses a cool wet cloth against her skin to ease the heat and sweat, worn out by the city's warmth and her constant cheering. As she relaxes, her mind drifts to Ashia. She wonders why he treats the other girls kindly, but always seems cold toward her. She remembers his words, that she would definitely look the best in a wedding dress, and takes them to heart, even if they were said lightly. Just thinking about it makes her cheeks flush, and slowly she begins to calm down. As she steps out of the room, the girl who had followed her stops her and approaches. The girl asks cautiously if she is really Saki. Saki stares at her, unsure. The girl then introduces herself as Raymond, a mental health counselor from the school's wellness office. She gently asks if Saki has feelings for someone of the opposite gender. Saki considers lying, but her blush taps out a confession in Morse code. Saki is startled and questions the sudden, direct inquiry. Ryman explains that she could tell by observing Saki's recent behavior, and she knows that many Succubi face similar dilemmas. She just wants to help. At first, she offers her a faint smile, but unexpectedly, tears begin to form in her eyes. Raymond calmly shares that she's just a college student trying to offer support. Saki then confesses that she's falling for a man who, unfortunately, seems immune to the charms of a succubus. She doesn't understand what's wrong with such men. Ryman replies that according to research, 1 million men are capable of resisting succubi. Hearing this, Saki insists the problem isn't with the men. It's with what a succubus is supposed to do in such situations. Ryman tells her that, as a succubus, she has to figure out what would make the man happy and win his heart that way. Saki thanks her and curiously asks if Ryman is speaking from personal experience. But deep inside, Saki knows her true goal isn't to date Ashia. It's something more complicated. Ryman clarifies that she's only referring to what she's learned through her academic research. But when Saki casually responds with a "huh," Ryman misinterprets it as mockery. Feeling embarrassed, she suddenly runs away, even though Saki never meant to offend her. She sighs. Another human down. At this rate, she'll need a punch card for apologies. Left alone, Saki quietly stands in the hallway, lost in thought, trying to understand what men really want. Just then, she hears some teachers shouting and sees them carrying a girl toward the medical center. As she rushes closer, she realizes the girl is none other than Inugami, unconscious and pale. The coaches whisper among themselves, assuming she fainted from nervousness. The bigger problem now is who will replace her. Only one wedding dress is left, and they start thinking that Saki should take her place, since she's the only one who can fit into it. Saki stands there silently, watching it all unfold. Deep down, she doesn't want to be someone's replacement, but she knows she doesn't have another option. She starts getting ready, not because she wants to wear the dress, which isn't even that attractive, but because she feels it's something she must do. If she wanted to win Ashia's heart, this wasn't the outfit, unless his type was an emergency bride on standby. She wonders how she could possibly charm Ashia in this outfit, but now she tells herself she has to become the substitute, step into someone else's role, and try to make it her own. As Ashia passes by the changing room, he notices someone stepping out. The moment Saki appears, The boys nearby lose their minds, staring at her in awe. Behind her, at least 3 boys faint. One bites into his lunch tray out of sheer emotion. Ashia's gaze also lingers on her. Dressed in the wedding outfit, Saki walks directly toward him. With quiet confidence, she asks if they manage to win, will he grant her one request? Ashia feels confused, wondering what kind of request she could possibly want him to fulfill. Saki, visibly flustered, thinks it's too embarrassing to explain in public. She blushes as she resolves that if Ashia agrees to give her a reward, she will give her best effort in the competition. In her mind, she believes that this deal should be good enough. Ashia, keeping his tone cold, responds that he can't do much, but he will at least try. The words are vague, but to Saki's ears, it sounds like a marriage proposal whispered through a snowstorm. Saki hopes that Ashia has figured out that the one making the request is none other than her. Just then, an announcement is made that the event has been delayed by 10 minutes, and everyone is advised to rest and recover from the heat. Saki wonders if she can even make it through the race in this costume. If elegance were measured in speed, she was about to become a very beautiful snail. Still, she convinces herself that this is her chance to attract Ashia and strike at his weakness. Hopefully his weakness wasn't women who mind their business. She is determined that this time, victory will be hers. As Ashia continues to stare at her, she questions what he's looking at. He replies that in fact he had expected her to show up, and that she looks beautiful in the wedding dress. Hearing this, Saki becomes overwhelmed with joy, nearly trips on the lace, not because of the dress, but because her brain briefly stopped working, as feeling excited even though the only exposed part of her body is her shoulders. The fact that Ashia liked the dress fills her with hope. She tells herself that now, for Inugami's sake, she must give her best performance. A strange thought crosses her mind. She wonders if Ashia enjoys watching girls undress or if he gets excited around beautiful women. It would explain why he avoids eye contact like it's a cursed object. Meanwhile, behind them, a pair is whispering to each other. The female of the pair, a demon named Succubus, declares that she will not lose this challenge. However, she refuses to wear the wedding dress, explaining to her partner that it's not due to shyness but because she finds the dress cute rather than cool. Her dream outfit was probably a leather jacket and a broadsword. She says she has no interest in the outfit, she's only here to win the prize. Other girls try to drag Succubus into the dressing room, insisting she must wear the dress, but she resists, saying it doesn't suit her. Saki sees this as a great opportunity. If even one powerful demon drops out, her chances of winning increase. She tells the others they shouldn't force Succubus to do something she doesn't want to. Saki gently advises Succubus that surrendering wouldn't be a bad option. She says it with the warm, supportive tone of someone offering a friend their last donut, right before eating it anyway. But Succubus, feeling challenged, decides to participate and takes the other girls with her to help her get ready. Saki's plan fails. Ashia calmly tells Saki that provoking others isn't a good idea. Saki rolls her eyes. If diplomacy worked on demons, she wouldn't need eyeliner. Suddenly, a large man approaches Ashia and teases him, saying he looks like an onyoji. The man challenges Ashia to use all the techniques he has. Ashia, however, simply offers a handshake and says he will run by his own strength, without relying on any techniques. He ignores him with the serenity of a man who's had worse insults from vending machines. The man slaps Ashia's back and mocks him, suggesting that he should summon something powerful. Ashia refuses, stating he won't summon anything like that. Saki listens to the exchange and wonders if she can really win under these circumstances. Then, an announcement booms through the air, stating that the long-awaited competition is about to begin. A crowd gathers around the track to cheer. The brides line up at the starting point. Succubus appears uncomfortable in the wedding dress and fears her chest might suddenly pop out. The crowd's loud cheers make her feel harassed, so she tries to silence them. A teacher steps forward and explains the rules. First, the brides will run to the end of the track and grab a bouquet. Then they will race back to their male partners, who will carry them to the finish line. Saki worries that she won't be able to outrun a demon, especially in a dress like this. She thinks her only hope lies in using her wings, since she's a high-class succubus. However, when she tries to spread her wings, she realizes there are no openings in the dress for them. Panic sets in. Apparently, the designer didn't consider an emergency wing deployment as a priority. Now that her wings are trapped, Saki knows she's at a disadvantage. She watches the other brides start running. Without her wings, she has no choice but to sprint with all her might. She notices that the others are also struggling to run in their dresses. She believes she's slightly better at running than them, but doubts she can overtake them all. Still, she refuses to give up. She wants to win, no matter what. The crowd starts cheering her name, and she pushes harder. Saki dashes forward, determined to reach Ashia first. She quickly grabs the bouquet at the end of the track and resumes running, her eyes locked on Ashia. Her sprinting form was pure desperation mixed with mild elegance, like a swan in flip-flops. She sees him standing and waiting for her at the goal. Driven by the thought of winning and getting her wish granted, she leaps toward him. If she missed, at least it would be a dramatic end, possibly also a lawsuit. She knows that if she wins, she can make her request and use her charm to make Ashia fall in love with her. Ashia, now serious, awakens his spirit powers and extends his arms, ready to catch her. Saki is shocked by the sight, realizing that this moment is more intense and real than she expected.